Hello everyone, it is Jayden and welcome to The Alpha, the show where we talk about the hottest topics in pop culture and sports. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button on the video. And if you enjoy my commentary and myself truly as always, be sure to tap that subscribe button and to hit that notification bell to get notified when all my videos go live. I love you guys so much. Peace, love, and positivity always, y'all. See ya. I know y'all guys are not living up under a rock. You've seen the discourse between Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James. LeBron James recently just went on Pat McAfee and had some recent comments, of course, about Stephen A. Smith. And we knew Pat McAfee, being the smart guy that he is, he was interviewing LeBron. Of course, he was going to ask him about Stephen A. and the whole fiasco that happened earlier 3 weeks ago when Stephen A. Smith signed his contract and they had that altercation at the basketball game. And LeBron James had this to say.
Yep.
Which leads obviously to you and Stephen A. Hey, legit, that feels like a moment that had been brewing for a long time.
He's like on a Taylor Swift tour run right now.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're watching it. Yep. We're all seeing it.
Oh yeah,
you're seeing it as well.
He literally, it started off with, I didn't want to address it.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it, but since the video came out, I feel the need to address it.
Yeah, went viral. You would be not to talk about it.
Are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait to the video to drop so you could address it, it's your ass. Like seriously, it's, and like another, he completely like missed the whole point. The whole point. Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job, to criticize or to, be in a position where, okay, if a guy's not performing, that is all part of the game. That's all part of the game. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. And I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna be smiling from ear to ear when he hears me talking about him again. Oh my God, he's gonna get home and grab some ice cream out of the fucking freezer and sit in his chair in his tighty whities on the couch.
I hope at some point you two do get a chance. But you're right.
Dude, like relax, bro. Like relax. Like seriously.
Every time I come on my show, I feel like I never agree with stuff that LeBron James says. I am put into a position to 8 to 9 times out of 10 disagree with something LeBron says. In this interview, LeBron said that Stephen A. couldn't wait to address that moment between him and Stephen A. And that the media nowadays has shifted from critiquing players and their play, instead they're making it more personal. I disagree with that on many instances. And what LeBron James is referring to, and this is where I will defend Stephen A. If somebody went in front of all those people at Crypto.com Arena and got in my face like that, in front of all those people, after I just signed a big contract extension, in the middle of the game in the third quarter, you're going to come in my face and say some stuff like that in front of me? And it got posted worldwide on the internet and went viral, and I'm a media personality. You really think that I'm not going to say anything about that and defend myself? LeBron, we get it. You are one of the most famous people in the world. But Stephen A. has had one of the biggest shows in American sports television. Worldwide, not just American, worldwide. He doesn't need to talk about you to gain publicity. That man had every right to comment about that situation. His bosses even made him do it. They said, you're going to go to First Take and address it. Did Stephen A. probably weren't going to address it on First Take? He probably wasn't, but he was going to address it on the Stephen A. Smith show. So don't paint Stephen A. like he's this attention seeker. Because LeBron, you are the attention seeker. What do you think that you was doing when you went out there to the court like you did in front of all those people. You wanted the attention. What do you think you were doing on the Pat McAfee show? You want attention. You were the one wanting to be. Would I have thought in a million years that he was ever going to go on a show with Pat McAfee? Absolutely not. Pat McAfee would be the last person that I would have thought LeBron James would be doing a show with. But he did. And he's doing this after Stephen A. has said what he said, went on these podcasts, and done all this. This was all planned by LeBron. Rich Paul was just on there 10 days ago. LeBron James announced a podcast with Steve Nash the same day. And you're blaming Stephen A. Smith for wanting attention? And this is where I can defend LeBron. Did LeBron have the right to feel how he's felt about Stephen A? Absolutely. Because one can argue that Stephen A. Smith it felt personal because Stephen A. Smith was questioning LeBron's fatherhood and the way he was parenting his children. I can agree with LeBron James on that point. But that did not give you the right to go out there in front of all those people and do what you did. And then go on a live show in Pat McAfee with that audience and make this dude and call him saying he's on a Taylor Swift run. Saying he's pretty much painting him as an attention seeker. Really, LeBron? And you're going to go out there and trash on people like Brian Windhorst. This is what he said about Brian Windhorst. Somebody who always defends LeBron James all the time.
Like I seen Brian Windhorst on one of these shows not too long ago. Like a
Lindy.
Yeah, you played over high school.
Lindy, you guys played together in high school.
Yeah,
right? He was on your high school
this
team.
guy was like, says he's like my fucking best friend. These guys are just weird.
So yeah, he just goes on live television and just trashes the guy who just defends him all the time. And this is a problem that a lot of people have about LeBron James. Bro, you're being a hypocrite. You went on a show. I'm going to repeat myself again. You over here trashing Stephen A. for saying he's basically an attention seeker. But yeah, you are the one who went in front of all those people and did what you did. And you really think Stephen A. Smith was not going to retaliate to some reason? Stephen A. Smith is the number one sports personality, sports commentator in sports outside of Shannon Sharp. And they both work at the same network. So, of course, Stephen A. was going to do what he was going to do. So what? You'll clap back at him is to go do this? And yes, he done some... And we're going to move on away from this aspect because LeBron James had a great day yesterday. He done a lot of things. After all of this stuff with the Pat McAfee show, after all the interview he had, people were on his side going viral. He then that night hit a game-winning shot, and then he proceeded to go on Instagram and post an old clip of Stephen A. getting ready to box because of Stephen A.'s previous comments, which Stephen A. Smith was wrong on this point of view. Saying that Stephen A. said if LeBron James would have swung at him, he would have punched him in the face. Which we knew Stephen A. wasn't going to do that, and LeBron weren't going to do that. LeBron's not that stupid to do that. So this happened that night. And we moved on to some of Stephen A. Smith's comments today, which I want to talk about to where it's getting very personal at this point.
I suggest that he be happy with the things that I haven't brought up. I never brought up really and never really discussed why you were not at Kobe Bryant's memorial service. I never really brought up or discussed why you did not attend Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction when that man was directly responsible for you capturing a championship for the first time in your career. I brought up none of that. I didn't bring up the fact that even though when people had asked, you had alluded to what had happened tragically to your son, and thank God he's okay with his heart condition. I didn't bring up the fact that even though you couldn't go to the Hall of Fame induction of Dwayne Wade weeks earlier, you were out of the country on business. I didn't bring that up. That's your personal business, okay? But the fact is, you wasn't at the Hall of Fame induction of a brother that's going to drastically assist to you being a Hall of Famer because he helped you become the champion that you are, and he was a big brother to you. I brought up none of these things. But LeBron James, at the end of the day, wants to come at me, and he's walking around pouting. Why would he be pouting?
So that was Stephen A's comments, and this is where I had a problem with Stephen A. See, I'm being non-biased here. Y'all know I love Stephen A. Smith, okay? He's somebody I look up to in the media space, and is somebody that I model my content and my personality around. Him and Shannon are just my guys. So obviously you would think going into this conversation I was going to defend Stephen A., but I cannot defend Stephen A. on this part. That, if LeBron James wanted to say something about that, that was personal. Stephen A. Smith had no right to go on live television today and point out anything dealing with what LeBron was doing during Kobe Bryant's memorial service when he tragically passed away, and to how LeBron wasn't at D Wade's retirement ceremony or induction ceremony. That is a step too far. That is where the line is crossed. LeBron James, what you said yesterday on Pat McAfee, that implies to what happened today. Because Stephen A. Smith, that was a bad look. Actually, Stephen A. Smith had to go back and correct himself because he basically misspoke about the whole Kobe Bryant memorial thing, saying that he wasn't even there when actually he was there. So it was a bad look for Stephen A. all day today. Most importantly, what we need to take away from this conversation is this beef has to stop. It's getting personal. It's getting out of hand. It's becoming a troll. LeBron James took the time that he did yesterday. He went in front of all those people, promoted his new stuff, promoted himself. This is the first time LeBron has ever publicly spoken in front of people like this. Then he goes out and does what he does in the game last night, and then he was feeling good about himself, and then he went on IG and posted that clip about Stephen A. And then Stephen A. was in his feelings yesterday too and went on his show and spoke about calling LeBron James a liar, this, and that. And then today, Stephen A. Smith goes on First Take and gets super personal. What we should all take away from this is that this beef needs to stop because neither of you are benefiting from this. I am sitting waiting patiently for LeBron to clap back pretty much. Because two things are true. I am with Stephen A. on this part that this beef should have never existed because LeBron got it to here. LeBron escalated this because he couldn't take quality criticism about his son and his son not being good enough, knowing he's not good enough to play in the NBA. He needs to stay in the G League where he's hooping actually right now, by the way, and stay there. Because Stephen A. was right. Is LeBron right to a certain degree? Was he questioning his fatherhood? Yes, but it had to do with basketball. Because guess what? LeBron, you were the one who said that you wanted your son drafted where he was. You were the one that was going around saying and telling teams in the negotiation of your new contract saying wherever my son goes, I'm going there too as well. Everybody knows with Bronny James's record and his stats in college that nobody with that record and stats would have ever got drafted in the NBA, would have never got close to it. They would have said, see you next season. I'm going back to my second year of college. But because you're a LeBron James son and all the strings LeBron was pulling behind the scenes, Bronny got drafted. They had their moment the first night. He went out there during the middle of the season in an NBA game, played a significant amount of minutes, and laid up a goose egg in an NBA game. We all know nobody else would have got that opportunity, LeBron. And that's what Stephen A. was pointing out. But yet you went on and done what you done in front of Stephen A., humiliated that man, and then you retaliated back, and then this has caused Stephen A. to do what he done today, which was wrong on Stephen A.'s part. So both of y'all are now wrong. So how about we make a right, let them cancel out, and then y'all settle this as gentlemen, go behind the scenes, get a phone call. Because I think Stephen A. said today that he cannot stand LeBron James on live television today. I don't know how they're going to hash it out. I hope they hash it out, but that's just my opinion on this subject. And in summary, LeBron James essentially is full of crap. He is hypocritical, he's narcissistic, and he has an ego that is so high that only Lord knows himself who could even reach that type of ego. Because LeBron, you were willing enough to go out there and humiliate that man in front of all those people and on the internet, and you didn't think that man, you thought you were so highly of yourself and thought you had this stature that he wasn't able to respond to you, and that's his job. He had every right to defend himself. And LeBron James is the reason why it escalated today. But as well, Stephen A is wrong because he got super personal on TV today. That LeBron James, you are right about. That was personal. But y'all got to get over this. It's stupid. It's unprofessional. It should have never gotten to where it has gotten today. It's just being petty at this point. And they got to knock it out. If you guys disagree with me, I don't care. Y'all know I'm going to speak my mind. I've never been a LeBron James guy. And after this, I really ain't. This doesn't help the case. I just think LeBron's a butthole. I really do. That doesn't make what Stephen A said right today. Absolutely not. That is so personal. And I'm very disappointed in Stephen A saying those things. If he would have said it on the Stephen A Smith show, have at it. That's your personal platform. But on national TV, when it's supposed to be about sports, that's not appropriate for that setting. And I'm going to leave it at that.